Michaels carries her out to the dressing room, showing the crowd her buttocks. I've already said that, but it's good to re-emphasise.
Buttocks.
You know, it's sad when you think about it. This could have been on a level of sort of Michaels Undertaker. You know, had it sort of gone to plan. Why ain't Corey Graves saying to Charlotte, like, be fair to Flair? Yeah. That'd be great, man. What a good callback.
I'm sure it'll come back. I
hope so. Yeah. When you're laying out fast asleep on my sofa, I will come and earthquake splash you. Or teabag.
Delightful.
Hello,
and a very warm welcome back to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast. My name is Dom, and that is
Ant
and Dom.
Ant and Dom.
Like Ant and Deck, but not terrible. Well, actually,
I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here.
Probably pretty terrible. I think,
probably. SummerSlam, 1992.
There you go.
From Wembley Arena in England.
The big one.
The
only one from London in WWE history.
Not true. Well, I don't think
they did SummerSlam
out of the big four. Yeah, but they also had Capital Carnage there, didn't they? I believe. And
but big four that people actually care about.
Where stuff actually happened, and stuff did happen at this pay-per-view.
Stuff did happen.
It's a really exciting pay-per-view.
The match that I think is the best Intercontinental Championship match in history, and you do not agree because you have no taste in anything.
We'll get to it when we get to it. So there's some great matches in here. It's great to see it in Britain. Mm-hmm. I want to see a pay-per-view from WWF these days in Britain, even if it was one of the B shows. We haven't had one for a long time, have we?
No.
Can you remember the last one?
Was
it Capital Justice or something like that?
Capital Carnage.
That was the last one?
I think it was.
That was like 98, wasn't it?
Something I think it was the last major pay-per-view.
Wow.
Someone correct me if I'm
wrong. So first of all, we start off with a SummerSlam by Ico Pro.
What?
Ico Pro. The advertisement. Ico Pro was it was heavily marketed on WWF and the WBF, which was the World Bodybuilding Federation, which Vince had set up. And it was their push into the world of bodybuilding, which didn't go so well for them.
Nope,
not at all. We see a load of fans queuing up for the event. Some great shots of English fans, really passionate.
Like 80,000 people or something. Or statistic. They said it was 80,000, but it wasn't. They said it sold out in one day, but it hadn't. It sold around about a week later or something. Was it
for a WWF event? It sold really well, and the event was actually due to take place in Maryland, I think it was originally. I've got it in my notes somewhere. However, they moved it to the UK because wrestling was so popular in the UK at this point, and they weren't going to sell as many tickets wherever they was going.
They sold because I think wasn't that venue like a lot less,
like 16,000 or something. So Wembley did really well, and the atmosphere of the crowd it's completely different to an American crowd. Like we get sort of them. We've got very much a football mentality here, haven't we? And it's very much. You can hear like hooters going off, especially in the Bulldog Bret Hart match, and everyone was so into that match.
Into it,
and it's a great moment in wrestling history, I think, that this happened in Wembley Stadium, and I'd love to see it come back.
Yeah,
any of the big four would be fine. Give me a Royal Rumble in Wembley.
Wow. Rumble in Wembley, or the O2 Arena, or
SummerSlam, or Survivor Series. I understand WrestleMania is probably not going to happen.
Or Manchester Evening News Arena.
Absolutely, Manchester Evening News only holds about 16,000.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, good point.
You need to go to a big outdoor, I think, and it'd sell well here as well. We have a Bret Hart fan, which was excellent. A young little Bret Hart fan putting on an American accent, saying that Bret's going to beat everyone. He's going to win whether he likes it or not, which I thought was really, really funny,
adorable.
Really sweet. One of our supporters of the channel, One-Legged Wanderer, was actually at the event. He was a young lad at the time, which is cool. And he explains the buzz going into the arena. He said there was a massive buzz, even though he was only young, should I say. I shouldn't give his age away at the time. He was only young at the time. You can see, he could feel the buzz, especially with the main event. And WWF did a great job of making that the main event as well, to have it as this sort of British, because the main event is British Bulldog versus Bret Hart. Tickets went really fast as wrestling was so popular. It had originally planned to happen in the US, but had moved to the UK. So at the start of the show, we have trumpets played by medieval outfit dressed people.
Well, of course.
Because England, that's what we do. We all dress like we're in medieval times, and every event we have has trumpets, and that doesn't really happen, does it, at all?
No.
We get to see Sir Bobby, the King of England, who Vince tells us that he's a royal pain in the ass. So we have Vince McMahon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
With a little bit of humour from Vince.
Oh, it was good, man. Yeah, I know. Even Vince seemed to be enjoying himself.
I think it's because he's like, I've sold lots of tickets in my head. In his
I'm
head.
making money right now.
Making all the money out of these British limey things.
There's a lot of King and Queen references throughout the event that they do, and it's good fun, actually. Heenan did a good job of playing on it, and it was something new for Heenan, I think, as well, so he was having a laugh with it. So the first match is Money Incorporated, which was Ted DiBiase and IRS with Jimmy Hart versus the Legion of Doom with Paul Ellering and Rocco.
One of the most identifiable and most legendary entrances in WWE history.
What, Rocco?
No, from LOD.
Oh.
Muppet.
They're coming on motorcycles.
Yeah, it's really like, I don't know, it's been done before, but at the time it was a big deal.
Oh yeah, I imagine it was. There was an issue with the fact that Hawk was going through a lot of tough times at the minute. He didn't actually think he was going to be able to perform at the event because he thought he was going to fail a drug test that they'd done prior to the US. So he'd gone out with a load of Londoners by the sound of it and taken a load of sedatives, and you can actually see that he looks quite groggy, and there was concerns about him riding the motorcycle, which had consequences for Legion of Doom following this pay-per-view, but we'll get into this in a second. IRS comes out and says it's a well-known fact if you British paid your share in taxes, you wouldn't put a burden on the royal family. IRS just had to come out and say one thing, didn't he? Yeah, it was all right.
Huge, that was a nice little heel moment for him, I think.
Yeah, it was sort of his constant gimmick. I don't think it gained a lot of heat, though, was it? I mean, I don't pay my taxes, so what I think would have been my reaction if I was a bit older at the time? Yeah, a bit weird. The Legion of Doom come down on motorcycles, sporting a gold chest guards this time. They looked $1 million.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yep.
I was so chuffed with the way it came out for them.
Yeah,
really good.
The crowd from the start are incredibly vocal. Hundreds of firm hands in the crowd,
as they want to be in the UK, more so than in the US.
I think people sit down and watch it more.
It's more of a special thing for us though when they come over, but
I would imagine so. Like, can you imagine if WWF visited your area every sort of 6 months? Like,
yes,
I suppose they do come to the UK every 6 months.
Yeah,
it's a weird one, isn't it? It's just weird seeing a difference between, because there is a difference, and it's not. I'm not saying one's better or one's worse. I'm just saying there is a difference.
Yeah.
Loads of firm hands as well in the crowd. That's something that you never normally see. Like, you'll see the occasional, but there was so many firm hands in the crowd. Probably from a dude outside selling them for like £3 each, making a buck. Yeah. Animal did a great slam at the start of the match on IRS, lifting him really high. Hawk had the early lead on DiBiase, clotheslining him out of the ring. Ellering was now a ventriloquist with Rocco.
Yeah. So much wrong with this, I think.
It's weird, isn't it? It didn't really fit in.
Ellering has a huge problem with this as well. Like, he was made to do it, and he's not a fan of this at all.
No, so Ellering's outside, like, making the puppet talk, which is just really weird. It sort of turns him a bit daft, doesn't it?
I think he looks at this as his worst moment in his wrestling career.
Really?
Yeah.
At one of the biggest events of his wrestling career as well.
Yeah, he's looked back on this a few times in sheer interviews, and he says, "I did it because I needed to keep my job." But not a great moment for him.
No. The match goes on a long time, which is mainly Money Incorporated doing lots of moves to Hawk. Obviously, the ref not seeing the tags, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Then Animal gets in and demolishes everyone, which is fairly regular for Legion of Doom. Animal lifts DiBiase for a Doomsday device, but IRS actually drop kicks Animal, sending DiBiase and Animal to the floor. I thought that was a really nice sort of way to get out of the Doomsday device, and a real nice little moment that they'd come up with there. And then Animal power slams DiBiase for the win. It wasn't a bad match to start off. It was good. It got the crowd pumped. I especially enjoyed that drop kick to stop the Doomsday device. I sort of wish that we'd got to a point where we saw the Doomsday device.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a moment where you get out of something, show us the part where you get through that and get to it. And this was the last match for Legion of Doom for a while because of what I'd talked to about earlier, Hawk being addicted to sedatives. I think Hawk left first and then Animal very soon after. And it's really sad that this happened.
It is, yeah.
And I always, this is what I was sort of talking to you about when Legion of Doom first came in a couple of pay-per-views ago, that actually in this space of time, although it was a big period for the WWF, 91 was a massive year and a great year, there wasn't actually around for that long.
Yeah. No, there's... They had a lot of performers at that time. They came in and came back out, and like Sid as well is another one of those. You know, and they had a lot of problems with the authority at the time, and the way Vince. There was a lot of pay disputes in the back, stuff like that.
A lot, yeah. And steroids as well.
And steroids was a massive thing. Yep. And so LOD were kind of caught up in that the latter part of that, and a lot of because of their legacy. You know, it enabled them to keep going back in and coming back out again.
Yeah,
you know?
Are we talking about their legacy prior to the WWE? Yeah. Because they had a massive push from the start.
There are people in the WWE that come in and then you see them leave shortly afterwards and never return, but that's because they've got nothing behind them. Whereas LOD could keep not messing up, but they could keep perhaps they had a bit more leeway. Same with Jake Roberts, same with other people. They had a bit more leeway because of how popular they were. That they could keep popping in. It felt like they were popping in. And then popping
but I mean, you think for the sort of 2 years that we've seen Legion of Doom, all the toys that they must have sold through Legion of Doom. I mean, everyone had a Legion of Doom action figure. Everyone had the video games. I remember them being one of the characters on the video games, and to invest that much into making a model on a video game when you've only got a limited amount of space. The Legion of Doom were a massive marketing tool.
They were on a couple of 2K. I think they were a 2K downloadable thing for a while as well.
Oh, was they?
Some of the early games.
In some of the earlier ones, yeah. So hopefully we'll get them back at some point. Next up, we have an interview with Ric Flair. Gives a woo.
A woo.
Gives a louder woo.
Woo.
Very good. When you're talking big city, bright lights, you think London, England. And when you're talking WWF, you think Ric Flair. That was a really nice little promo. Mr. Perfect is going to be in either the side of Macho Man or Ultimate Warrior. Ric Flair won't tell Gene whose corner he's going to be in. It was a really nice moment, actually, with that sort of arrogance of Ric Flair going, I know something that you don't. Really good work from Flair. Be fair to Flair.
Be fair to Flair.
I love that saying, man. Why don't they use that more these days?
I know.
Why ain't Corey Graves saying to Charlotte, like, be fair to Flair? Yeah. That'd be great, man. What a good callback.
I'm sure it'll come back. I
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Next up, we get an interview with Virgil. Virgil isn't afraid of nails. Virgil saying, do unto you before you can do unto me. That was a really rubbish tagline, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm usually a massive Virgil fan, but this whole match and then this whole bit...
Well, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, you know what? This is the first time I can agree with you about Virgil's abilities.
Well, you can see it sort of sloping from a while back. I mean, the DiBiase thing was massive, and then you sort of see the downward spiral. So we have a match with Nails versus Virgil. So
squash, really, I think.
It is a little bit. I'll read a little bit of information about Nails, because this is the first time he showed up, and he's very interesting, actually.
Tell us more.
Tell you more. He started off wrestling in the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, and wasn't in the WWF for very long due to a dispute with Vince, which we'll talk about a little bit after this match, because it was part of this match that was a problem. After leaving WWF, Nails would file a series of lawsuits against Vince and company, including wrongful termination. Vince had supplied him with steroids. Not a very good lawsuit to go into when you're currently going into a steroid trial with the whole of WWF. Yeah. And that Vince had sexually assaulted him. There's a whole story to go into about this.
Wow.
Yeah. And the whole steroid thing was that he'd been forced to take them as well. So if you watch the promo from this guy, he had a really raspy voice. He sounded like a car engine starting up. It was actually... I mean, he wasn't a great wrestler, but in terms of character, he could have been quite interesting. Yeah. I think the gimmick was a bit crap.
Yeah.
But if you'd give him because he was an ugly dude. I mean, he was like, Kane. Kane's not very attractive, is he?
Well, not as he's more attractive than you think he is going to be when you hear he's been burnt. In the face, and then he takes his mask off, and it's just
this horrific thing. And
just a bald dude with a contact lens.
He wasn't even bald though, was he? He had this weird tuft of hair.
Yeah,
on his head.
That was. I think that was done purely for the gimmick.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Because it was supposed to look like he'd burnt his. He couldn't grow his hair there or something, and his.
Why didn't they give him burns on his face? Well,
I would have thought that, but then they'd have had to carry that on, wouldn't they? If you wanted to rest
Kane didn't wrestle for much longer, did he?
What, are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. He's still going now.
I know.
He's just come back.
I know, right? Yeah. But his new outfit is nowhere near as good as his old outfit.
No, it's true.
I always miss his old outfit.
Yeah.
Has he ever come back in the old outfit?
No.
Oh man, that's how they need to send him out.
Yeah.
He needs to come out as original
Kane. The original Kane and do the weird head tilt that creeps.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then he can talk and he can say goodbye WWF.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know. That'd be kind of sad if he did his goodbye speech with the
yeah, it'd be funny.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
The Kane's probably one of the most inconsistent gimmicks in WWE history because,
if you was to go into the details of it, I'm sure it would be.
What I mean? If you really, really deconstructed it.
But didn't they release a book based on his backstory and everything?
Did they?
I think so. Yeah,
wow.
I believe so. So this is Nails that we're going back into. Sorry, we just went on to Kane. He now works in a family-run garage, and PWI, Pro Wrestling Insider, ranked him as number 78 in the top 500 wrestlers of 1992. Wow. I don't think he was in my top 78.
No,
not at all. Obviously, his gimmick was that he was a death row convict type thing with the orange jumpsuit on. He was basically a foil for Big Boss Man.
Yes.
A direct foil for Big Boss Man.
Because he came in, directly as it related to the Boss Man, didn't he? That he was mistreated.
Yes.
His gimmick was that he was mistreated by Boss Man.
Yes.
And he was coming for revenge.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it sort of works, I suppose.
For about a match.
Yeah, exactly. So Nails doesn't sell Virgil's clotheslines or drop kicks. He sort of bumbles around the ring. If you're not going to sell something, I've got a real issue with not selling. You either do it right or you do it wrong. Undertaker does it right most of the time. A lot of people do it wrong. I hate Hogan's no selling, where it's punch and he just goes, back. And this sort of thing was no selling, where it was almost weak no selling.
Yeah.
It's a real fine balance.
Nails wasn't the Undertaker,
He wasn't. No, he wasn't. No, he didn't have the career.
King Kong Bundy, and he wasn't. Yokozuna.
Yeah. No, he wasn't. No. So next up, we get that Nails is really slow in the ring, really slow. Getting in and out of the ring was laborious to watch, as he did a couple of times. I don't think I've seen anyone slower get into the ring, which was really weird. Nails gets a sleeper on Virgil and puts him to sleep. He takes a police button out and continues to beat and choke Virgil with it. That was the end of the match.
Yep.
Bit rubbish.
Yeah. It served to put Nails, make Nails into this badass,
I don't think it was necessary to do that on pay-per-view.
No.
I think...
So, a bit like a waste of time.
Yes, I think do it on your Raw.
Superstars.
Superstars, yeah. Sorry, it wasn't Raw at this point, was it?
It was Raw. It was Raw, but they had the Superstars that wasn't either Raw. It was Raw, and then it was Superstars, and they had a bunch of...
What year did Raw start?
Raw was
Raw was later, I think, yeah. I think it was 93,
right?
Yeah. So it will have been main event, so Nails was upset about his pay for SummerSlam. This is what I was talking a little bit about before the match. He thought he was paid too little in comparison to everyone else. I think rumour has it was about $8,000 in compared to other people who were on a lot more. And he had to travel across to England for that as well, of course, which he'll have paid for. But I mean, I still think $8,000 is a hell of a lot of money for what Nails did in the bloody ring.
Yes.
Later on, he'd storm into Vince's office and get into a fight with him about the pay for SummerSlam. He knocked Vince McMahon out of his chair, apparently. And Nails had later claimed that that's when Vince made a sexual pass at him. So there we go. Vince doesn't just go after Trish Stratus.
I don't know, man. As much as Vince is dodgy as hell, I feel like...
Are you sticking up for Vince?
I'm sticking up for Vince.
Be fair to Vince.
Be fair to Vince, yeah. I mean, you can smell rubbish when it's. I think this guy was just like, I could do with some more money.
I think if Vince was going to go for anyone, he wouldn't go for a dude that looked like he'd been in a car crash.
You are a harsh man. Do you know that?
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I love you, but you're really harsh sometimes
Thanks,
to people.
Dude. Thanks.
On an aesthetic level.
Sorry, Nails, if you're watching.
He might be watching.
He might be watching. In his mechanic.
Is Garage.
Garage, that's
Garage.
The
word, yeah. I'm assuming, yeah.
Next up, we have Lord Alfred Hayes back home, who wants to interview Macho Man, but can't get near him.
Go away, Lord.
You loved Alfred Hayes in the first video we did.
Yeah, because it was a novelty thing, and you're like, oh, look, it's the British.
He was so awkward, wasn't he?
He's so annoying.
Hello, I'm back here with.
Hello and welcome.
Yeah, very British. Yeah, we don't all talk like that, you know, as Brits.
No.
So then we get a sensational Sherry interview. Shawn Michaels interfered in Martel's match against Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship match. Martel comes down during one of Michaels' matches and blows sensational Sherry a kiss.
This was a lovely idea.
It was funny, man. It's a funny story.
So, neither of them can hit each other. Anyway, do you want to carry on?
Sherry says both men are incredibly handsome.
It's a bit like us, man. I think that if Sherry was here with us today...
Rick Martel, right? Shawn Michaels, Nails.
And you're the Nails, and I'm the Shawn Michaels.
All right, yeah, fine.
Is that what you're saying?
You can be Shawn Michaels if you want.
I'm just a sexy boy, sexy boy.
I can't sing Rick Martel's theme tune. I don't know it off the top of my head. I need some spray of arrogance to start spraying.
There you
go. So Sherry says that although both men are incredibly handsome, they have agreed to not hit each other in the face, so as to not ruin each other's face. How many faces have you seen ruined during wrestling matches? It doesn't happen that often.
No, like ruined. Not ruined.
not ruined.
Unless you Brutus the Bad Beefcake, but that wasn't in a wrestling match.
No. There was the one with the ladder where it was Jeff Hardy. I can't remember the guy.
Oh, and Cesaro.
Cesaro got hit badly. Cesaro's teeth recently. There was a dude with a ladder where a ladder hit him in the face and it caved his face in. But I can't remember his name. It's a good video. We'll go back and watch it later. And you will squirm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is it like
his face just explodes? Yeah, I can't remember who it is, but I'll find out for you. Yeah, it's great. Oh no. So Shawn calls out Sherry, "Let's go!" Yes, Shawn, which I thought was really funny. Sherry did a great job in this match, actually.
Oh man, I love
Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels with Sherry Martel. Who is Sherry going to choose in this match? Michael walks down with Sherry carrying a mirror for him. A part of Sherry's outfit is missing. He
actually had that for a while, didn't he? He had the mirror for a while. Michaels.
He did, yeah. But she's carrying like a full length one for him to sort of walk down in the minute, which was really funny.
Yeah.
And it sort of brings out that element to the match of this is my girl, who adores me, and this sort of symbology. It was good. Sherry had a massive part of her outfit missing, which revealed her buttocks incredibly to the entire crowd.
Her
buttocks. Sherry baby oils Shawn Michaels and removes his trousers for him, which was quite sexual. But again, it was all about Sherry being in love with Shawn and also with Martel. And it's not love, is it? Lust. Thank you.
In lust.
Martel taunts Shawn in the ring, which was really funny, after getting the better of an exchange, which then led to Shawn doing the same thing. Two really arrogant characters in the ring here, putting on a really good show, actually. They individually go to hit each other in the face, but they do a good job of selling that it's not allowed, so they sort of establish within the wrestling that that's not allowed, which was really good. Michaels is knocked over the top rope. While he is down, Sherry goes to support him, and Martel woos Sherry off him. "Oh, come here, baby, come here." And she goes, "Oh, okay," and then goes and gives him a cuddle, which was... It was good. It was a good story, man. Yeah, don't say adorbs, man. I hate adorbs. We don't shorten words like that on this wrestling podcast. We are serious and we say full words. She was adorable.
Well, yeah, that's not really because we sort of say gimme. So we say give me a whole yeah.
We could be give me a whole yeah.
Give me a whole yeah.
It don't work, does it?
Welcome to the Give Me a Whole Yeah wrestling podcast.
All right, you proved your point.
So yeah.
There was great height to a back body drop in the ring that we see. There's a really nice segment where they're both doing roll-ups and pulling tights, but the ref catches them both doing it. Two heels going at it in the ring. Normally it doesn't make for a great match, but this was really good. Really played up to the arrogance of them both. The two get very angry with each other and start slapping each other in the face. Sherry's upset that they're actually touching each other's face and faints on the apron. Heenan declares that Sherry's fainted and that he knows when a woman's fainted, making it out like he sees women fainting around him all the time, which I thought was very clever. Vince questions if she has a heart attack, which I thought was like, and especially with what happened to Jerry the King Lawler later on in his career, you're like, oh no, Vince, don't say that, man, it's too far. Yeah. Calm down.
Oh dear.
Michael, mind you, at least for Vince to cause a reaction is at this point in time is quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michaels comes down to help Sherry, then Martel. Both punch each other up the ramp and both men are counted out. And it turns out that Sherry was only faking it. She does this real comic sort of laying there, stiff, fainted, dead, look up, and then go back down, which was just comedy, man. She did a great job.
She sort of opens an eye and it's like,
Yeah.
She's playing the game. She's playing the game.
Michaels carries her back to the dressing room. Showing the crowd her twin cheeks as she goes. He's got her over her shoulder, and you actually hear some of the crowd at that point go, ugh, because you were supposed to be despised by Sherry, even though she had a rather cute
buttocks.
You see, it's fun trying not to swear or saying anything offensive, isn't it? You come up with other words.
Indeed.
Like buttocks instead of...
We're trying, I'm making a concerted effort on the podcast. Due to Anthony's
whinging.
Anthony's whinging and numerous feedback points of view, that I must not swear as much on the podcast.
So you say words like buttocks, it's good.
Buttocks. You
can say it as much as you want, and we're not going to get any strikes.
YouTube won't ban us. Didn't YouTube kick off because we were half naked? That woman didn't work.
No, there was one video. No, it wasn't even that one. It was another one. It was where you said something about Donald Trump.
That wasn't. No, that
one. It was.
Oh,
and we couldn't get advertising on it because you said something really.
I thought about it and I quoted Trump.
Yeah, and let's not recount that.
No, that was my.
But, go back and watch our videos.
Yeah, go back.
Because it's still up and you can see it.
The controversial videos. Maybe that's my plumpy moment. Maybe that's my what culture moment. I'm going to be the guy years from now that people are like, that time that Dom Smith from Gimme a Whole Year quoted Donald Trump and got in no trouble until years later.
I think you should write a written statement and put it on our Facebook page apologising to the people.
You know what? If people actually found out...
The thing is, the dude's going to be in America when this video is released as well.
Yeah, if people actually found out and actually did start commenting on it, then I would have to issue an apology because it's proper bad. But I wasn't. If anybody cares enough to get to this point in the podcast or go back and watch that, I am truly sorry. I was a little bit nervous, and I don't know why. I thought it was a stupid thing to say, so I apologise profusely. I am not a Donald Trump sympathiser. I hate his wig and I hate his face, and I love you. I love you all. Anyway, carry on.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Michaels carries her out to the dressing room, showing the crowd her buttocks. I've already said that, but it's good to re-emphasise. Buttocks.
Martel. Forrest Gump, buttocks.
I think it is, yeah. Martel runs back and punches Michaels to end up carrying Sherry.
You beeped.
I did beep, sorry. It was you beeping the other day. It's me beeping today. Michaels comes from behind to carry Sherry, so... They're constantly like fighting over who's going to carry Sherry out of the ring, which is quite fun. Would you?
Yeah.
I think Sherry would end up having to carry you, do you?
I'd love Sherry to carry me too.
Awesome. Martel.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, of course it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Well, but you are allowed to have a go at me now. When I say, "Oh, she's beautiful,"
no, but you don't say like.
I do say she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
You just went, "Oh, I want Sherry to carry me."
No, I didn't.
You did, man.
No, I didn't.
You did. That's exactly what you did. It's exactly what you did.
You shut up.
Martel comes back out of the back.
Back out of the back.
Good English there.
That's all right. We'll let it pass.
We'll let it pass. Just pretend it didn't
happen.
Sherry's. Martel comes out with a bucket of water and throws it on Sherry, and this is the most offensive thing to Sherry in the world. I think the Nasty Boys in an interview later on made reference to, it was so funny seeing Sherry with all her makeup running everywhere. It was all right. It could have been something else.
Yeah, they could have made it into something.
Concrete. Yeah. Pour concrete on it. That would have been funny.
What? You're an evil person.
Thanks, dude. It was all very Ronnie Hill. But it was entertaining.
In fact, they should have had him.
They should have. Yeah.
Pop out and do the music. They have the music blaring through the arena.
Yeah. But it was good. It was funny. It was entertaining. Yeah. And sometimes in wrestling, that's okay. I feel exactly the same way about the New Day these days. Sometimes the matches aren't the most serious things, but they're goddamn entertaining. And sometimes they know when to take it to that to a serious level as well. And that's a fine balance. This was good fun. I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. Let's all have a good time. Next up, we have the Nasty Boys interview, laughing about Sherry and the mess that she looked, all the makeup running. They don't get why they wouldn't have a title shot. Jimmy Hart says that they're going to get one coming up. So we have the Tag Team Championship match with the Beverly Brothers with the Genius versus the Natural Disasters, who are the current champions.
They converted me on these last shows, and
I'm now a fan. Face.
It's the face thing. Honestly, they just needed. I couldn't take them seriously as evil, mean.
I'm still not a fan of Typhoon, but as Earthquake, I think Earthquake worked as a solo heel. I think his stuff with Hulk Hogan is actually quite good.
As a face team, they're just big dudes that like each other and they want to win titles, and I can get behind that. Yeah, I can get behind two dudes wanting to win titles, and because they look like an everyman tag team of a bunch of big dudes going for the titles, and I dig that. And
they probably want that big, actually. Really. I've got a bit of a belly on me. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm Earthquake, but I'll happily teabag you at some point when you're laying out fast asleep on my sofa. I will come and Earthquake splash you. Or teabag. Delightful. Whoa. One of the Beverleys tries to lift Typhoon and actually does a really good job of holding him for a few seconds until Typhoon falls back. Yeah. But it was a nice moment.
The Beverly Brothers, they had a lot of something about them when they first came in. I was quite interested in them, and then now they just bore the hell out of me.
There was a new version. They were talented, but the gimmick was around
very stale.
It was too stale, and it was around all these sort of big characters. Yeah. So it never really come across that serious. I don't think. If they'd played them in a similar sense to American Alpha, where they were like serious wrestlers who were, but it wasn't. They were just a foil for everyone else, which is a real shame actually, because they do some good stuff in the ring, which is a real shame. Earthquake comes in and does the spot where he accidentally hits Typhoon. That's my biggest problem with the Natural Disasters matches. It's always the same spots, and I really wish it wasn't a part of every single match. Potentially, that's the least effective 5 moves of Doom of all time. Yeah. Do you know about the 5 moves of Doom?
What? The scene is 5 moves of Doom. Undertaker's
everyone's 5 moves of Doom. So every wrestler has like 5 moves that are the lead up to stuff. But the whole crew know it, and the camera crew know it, so they know how to shoot it and stuff like that. This was their 5 move of Doom, which ended up with them always colliding into each other, meaning whoever they were fighting could get the advantage. The Beverly Brothers dominated Typhoon for quite a while, getting frequent tags and double team moves. And at one point, the Beverly Brothers looked like he was doing a falling headbutt. But you can see Typhoon put his wrist up. He'd just run off the ropes, did this falling headbutt type thing, and Typhoon had put his wrist up. I bet that, and it hit him in the face. I bet that really hurt. Yeah. Like, genuinely, I bet he was really pissed off when he got backstage. It was one of them, why? I don't understand why Typhoon put his hands up. Yeah. I bet he was really pissed off. I would be. Yeah. Typhoon nearly gets the tag, but Earthquake is distracted, and the other Beverly brother hits the metal scroll, which has been given to him from the Genius. And then we get a massive pop when Earthquake gets in. Some nice moves. Earthquake has really sort of improved at this period.
Massively. I'm a big fan.
A nice belly-to-belly, an Irish whip with momentum from Typhoon, and a power slam. Really good. There's some good stuff at the Survivor Series, I think, next coming up as well. Earthquake was really good. Earthquake jumped up and down and gets the teabag for the win. Heenan, I believe, says it's the biggest earthquake to hit London.
There you go.
Because we don't suffer that badly from earthquakes, do we?
No, we do not.
Do you remember the earthquake of about 8 years ago?
No, I do not.
That was like it was. I
remember hearing about it.
Most people didn't wake up. That's England's earthquakes. Yeah. Next up, we have an interview with the Bushwhackers.
I'm not going to do it.
Good. I haven't cleaned in days.
I know, that's why.
Can you smell me?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I don't think I cleaned my teeth this morning, so I'm not going to lick you. No.
Okay, thanks, dude. Thanks for not burning off my scalp. Butch has been invited to Buckingham Palace. Can you imagine the Bushwhackers licking the Queen?
Yes.
Do you think she would be appreciative of that?
Yes. I think she needs a good licking.
Oh, after the whole Donald Trump thing.
No, that's a nice thing to say. I'm sure the Queen would like a good licking.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know whether she's had a licking in a while. It's a nice thing.
God save our gracious Queen. No, okay.
I just think, she would benefit from a nice licking.
Corgis probably lick her a lot. Her corgis are like the Bushwhackers. Maybe she called her corgis Luke and Butch.
Maybe she did.
Alfred Hayes is backstage outside. Alfred Hayes is backstage outside the Warriors dressing room. Whose dressing room is Perfect in? Is he in Warriors or is he in Alfred Hayes tries to get in? I think he says, I'm going to do my usual thing, something that's unusual for me, and I'm going to open this door without knocking. Something like that. And
it's not very British, Alfred Hayes.
And it's not very British. You should always knock on every door you enter.
On every door you enter.
Even if it's open, just knock.
Just knock anyway.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Even when you go get something out of the kitchen, out of the wardrobe.
Yeah. Well, no, if someone's not if someone's in there, I don't know what happens in your wardrobe, but normally people are in my wardrobe, so I don't knock on the wardrobe.
No, the people that are in my wardrobe, they're under the stairs. Next up, we have Crush versus Repo Man.
With Crush's purple and orange
attire. An interesting match here, actually. Also
it wasn't
known as the Destruction of Demolition. Sorry, you go on with your fact, because
it wasn't aired on originally on American on the American.
Was it the British
pay-per-view?
I thought it was the other way around.
Was it the British one?
I think
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. Basically, it wasn't aired on the main broadcast, and it was aired weeks later on the TV. But it was the two original members, like you were saying, of Demolition.
Not original members, members of Demolition. So Smash and Crush were both members of Demolition.
They didn't really make a big deal out of it, did they?
No, I mean, obviously, Repo wasn't supposed to be Smash. And I mean, I didn't know that Repo was Smash when I was younger.
I suppose.
So Repo was a completely separate character to Smash. It wasn't something that Smash had turned into. It was just a repackaged gimmick. But obviously, this is the
I suppose it is a bit like mentioning Isaac Yankem to Kane, isn't it? You wouldn't do that on TV, so I suppose.
Exactly, you wouldn't refer to Isaac Yankem and Kane. Exactly the same.
Yeah, good point.
Crush had brilliant entrance track, man. Yeah. It's like a mix of. Do you remember it? It's like a mix of.
I remember it being quite upbeat.
It's like a mix of Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. Yeah. It's really cool, man. You should check it out.
Yeah, I remember. I really like Crush. He would be one of my most underrated wrestlers of sort of the next few years, and he was another one that I think never quite got the due.
I think they tried to give him a push
when he came back and did the whole with Ellering, the biker kind of faction gimmick. That was cool, but he had loads of good opportunities, particularly at this time with some feuds, with Macho Man. Really good stuff that Crush did later on in his career, but never got very much the Dolph Ziggler syndrome, we'll call it, where he was good. And he was that good.
I don't even think it's Dolph Ziggler. I think this is more Titus O'Neil or someone like that, who is good in the ring but never gets that sort of push.
Maybe you're right.
Crush powerlifts Repo Man with a couple of press-ups in that position. Always good to show strength. Repo Man was very low again, using that character, so he looks nothing like Smash. I mean, I find it hard to... I understand now because I'm... grown up, but as a kid, I would never have noticed that they were the same people whatsoever.
I wouldn't notice, but no, it's all about Repo Man.
No, he ends up crushing Repo's head for the.
That's what he did there.
Crushing. No, that's his gimmick. Crusher, so when he comes out, the audience start going, oh, like that. That's
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's like yes, but it's a bit of weak.
Can you imagine people going?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're just. It's not the best, is it?
No.
It's not iconic.
What would yours be if you could have a chant?
If I could have a chant,
yeah.
Teabag.
Nice.
Thanks. What would your chant be?
I can't say that on live.
Awesome.
I can't say what my chant would be. It would be completely inappropriate.
Okay.
I'll tell you off broadcast.
Awesome. Crush looked really dominant in this match. His massive structure seemed even more heightened here because he was against Repo Man, who was hunched over a bit. I don't like his top with the orange and purple pants. I think he looks like a really crap superhero.
It's like Owen Hart. It's like...
Do you know who he reminded me of, actually? Because he had, like, Crush written on here, didn't he? He reminded me of, like, a reject from Snap, Crackle and Pop.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not entirely sure that joke wasn't used at some point in his career.
Oh, was it?
I think someone said something similar, and
really?
on one of the commentators.
Right,
like in
cool.
the later 90s.
Later 90s.
Yeah.
It was.
Something like Bobby Heenan or
Macho
Man, because Macho Man and him had a feud.
Yeah. We see footage of Macho attack Savage. That's wrong, because Macho can't attack Savage. Who would he have been? Probably attacking Flair.
Yeah.
And Warrior helping them. Mr. Perfect is going to be one in one of the corners, but whose? So we're setting up this whole thing about Mr. Perfect. Which corner is he going to be in? I have slight problems with that. But we'll go into that in a second. We see a tag match where Macho and Savage were together. Macho and Savage. My notes are crap today.
Macho and Savage. You mean Perfect and Savage?
Macho and Warrior, I believe it was, were together.
I know Macho and Perfect get together soon.
But there was friction between the two. Perfect, yes, they're doing the next pay-per-view. Perfect and Flair came out to attack Warrior, so it's all about the dissension between Macho and Warrior, but also Flair and Perfect and that sort of thing. I thought it was a really badly put together video package, actually. We don't get many video packages at this time, but I just thought it was really unclear.
Some of them were really good. Some of them
were all right. This was really terrible. I don't really know what was going on. That didn't clarify anything for me. It was just a bit messy. There were 2 long segments of nothing happening within it. And I still don't really understand... The motivation going into this match with the whole Perfect thing is that Perfect's going to help one of them. But we don't know who he's going to help. Why would Perfect, as a heel, help either of them?
Business decision. I think that was what it was going. What it was down to at the time was business decision.
There's no motivation there.
It was confusing to me this whole period of time as well. But I think it was down to business decision. I think they were positioning him as like a what Rick Rude became. For the NWO and D-Generation X, it's kind of, good for business type thing. Right.
I just don't think it was very effective.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Quite confusing to audience members.
I'd get it if I get the whole manager going for a heel or going for a face or going for one or the other. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't understand why Perfect was injected into the match. I understand. What there was actually doing is there was building to the point where he hasn't chosen either. He just wants to beat both of them. But to get to that point, so that's the WWF's end point, right?
Yeah.
And they sort of got that, but there was no motivation for Heenan to get to that, to choose a side.
Yeah. No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man Randy Savage here. A really big match here with a lot of story, as we always see with Macho Man.
The attires for both of them as well.
Oh, you like the attire?
Yeah, I love them.
I hate Warriors.
I love Warriors attires.
Like the muscle, the skinless muscle. I hate that, man. That's one of my worst Warrior outfits.
Shit.
No, it's interesting. Cool. My next note, I don't like Warriors outfit. Okay. Sorry, love. I'm glad that you like it. It reminded me too much of Giant Gonzalez to come up later on. Yeah. Is my problem with it. The two start off with a handshake, which ends in them both getting into each other's face, really building up the anticipation of this match. 2 big characters fighting. It seems like the crowd is booing Macho, but both have a lot of support. I don't think Macho was Macho as over in England as he was in the EU. I don't think he was he? We was more into because over here I remember the Hogan and Warrior thing being a massive deal.
Warrior, Hogan were over. The superhero characters, obviously Bulldog. We were into the more kind of the more. There was a lot of characters we dug. Whereas Savage, Savage wasn't really, he didn't have that kind of almost outlandish superhero type character.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That we were into at the time. Now, British fans are into, just like American fans, into the indies and indie superstars and indie darlings. We're into that, but back at this time, very much into the colourful superhero-esque characters.
Yeah, but I mean, I think people respect Macho a lot these days anyway. Yeah. But I do remember, certainly from my experience, that there was more people who were fans of Warrior and Hogan than there were ever of Macho. But if you look back at the time, Macho was doing some incredible work, you know, that we respect these days, because it's not just about seeing someone lick someone in the ring anymore, you know, it's about actually watching a wrestling match and enjoying that, man. So there was a lot of booing from Macho, but both had a lot of support, I think. There was a really nice atomic drop from Warrior early on. Warrior did some pretty decent work in this match, actually. Warrior seems to have improved from the days of his Rick Rude stuff very early on and stuff like that.
I think you're gonna have to. You know, he's been in the company a while. You know,
well, he'd also fallen out with Vince massively, so he had to sort of bring
up his ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Macho gets an axe handle off the top rope, and Warrior pumps instead of selling. But you know, that's another Warrior sell. Warrior was another one that I hate it when he no sells. He gets a second and goes to pin Warrior, but he kicks out. He goes up for a third, but Warrior catches him and drops him onto the knee for a seriously weak looking knee drop. Yes. His knee, as Macho lands on his knee sort of just collapses in a pile on the floor. It was really weak.
Yes, it was.
I was surprised how much work Warrior did during the match. He really sort of took an advantage and did some different stuff that we've seen him do before. And it's nice to see Warrior not relying on Macho in a match as well, as we saw quite a lot in WrestleMania 7. Macho starts selling that he's hurt his back at some point, and Savage hits Warrior with a nice axe handle off the top rope onto the floor. Mr. Perfect comes down from the back with Flair. Woo! So who is Mr. Perfect going to choose? Warrior goes for a splash, but Savage gets the knees up. The two look like they've been to a battle at this point after a double clothesline taking both men out.
They were always really good at building the fact they were tired and the fact that it was, you know...
Yeah. Better than others, actually. And so there were some other talented people. There's a match coming up with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and the one good thing about that is it feels like a battle, even though it wasn't a battle. It feels like they've had a real battle to get to the end of the match. Both of them nearly got the sort of exhausted near fall, you know, where they sort of rest over someone, barely getting over them, and the other person kicks out. When Savage gets up, Perfect grabs his legs as he runs to the rope. So Vince commentates, it must be the Warrior that sold out to Perfect. Yeah. I don't think people could believe this. And people in the crowd started to react differently to the match. This is one of the interesting things about the match, is the sort of face-face dynamic. We need to boo someone, so we'll boo Macho.
Yeah.
But then actually Perfect's on Warrior's side, so we're not going to cheer Warrior as loudly now. Yeah. It's quite interesting. The ref gets knocked down, does a double axe handle off the top rope and goes for the pin. Counts his own 3 count, which had some kids celebrating in the crowd, and then the ref comes in and counts, which Macho then kicks out of. So that's Warrior that nearly gets the pin. Counts his own 3 count, and the kids are all into it, like, we've won, and suddenly the ref comes in and it's not official.
Yeah.
Randy Savage gets a nice pile driver on the Warrior. Big dude to lift up.
Yeah.
But the ref is knocked out. When he goes out of the ring to try and help the ref, Perfect comes in to lift the Warrior up. So again, it's sort of supporting the idea that Perfect's come down and is here to support Warrior. When he does, though, he holds him so that Flair can punch him, so Perfect has no sides, he's on his own. Which again is what I was talking about. The end game makes sense, but his motivation to help the character, I don't believe in. And I think you have to have that. It needs to be believable.
Yeah, you need to have that kind of, absolutely, that sort of focus. And a character like Perfect doesn't automatically fit into a face role. So having him support Warrior would have made no sense, but also...
having him support Savage would have made no sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Macho gets his elbow drop, but the ref is still dazed, and when the ref comes round to count the pin, Warrior kicks out. Off an elbow drop. He took 5 last. Warrior hooked up, and after he's done his press slam, he runs the ropes for the splash, but Flair then attacks him with a chair, so we look like we're nearing the end of the match. and Flair attacks him with a chair. Macho gets up, but he can't understand why Warrior is down. Savage clears the turnbuckle, and the crowd are all sort of chanting. He's playing that he doesn't know. He doesn't understand why Warrior's down. If something's going on. So instead of going to attack Warrior, he goes and attacks Flair, who hits him with a chair on the way down as he jumps off the top rope. Really nice, swift movement. Good. And then Randy Savage is counted out, and Flair and Perfect attack Savage for Warrior to break them up. And then he chases off Flair. Yeah. And then they come back into the ring, and he helps Savage up, and he gives Macho Man his belt, and the two celebrate. So a nice ending to get both the faces over.
It was positive, yeah.
I think it was quite an overbooked match with the whole Flair Perfect thing.
Nice ending though. I thought
it was good fun.
Really good. The best thing about that was the ending. I thought.
I agree.
In terms of engagement,
I agree. I quite like how Perfect and Flair were used in the match. I just don't. Again, sort of said that too many times. Next up, we have a Perfect and Ric Flair interview. Plan A was for Flair to beat Warrior. They are now into Plan B. I don't understand what Plan A was.
Yeah, no. It's very confusing here.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
Yeah. And he wants the belt back off Savage after their epic WrestleMania match. So Flair versus Savage, which ends up being an event at Summerslam, the next Survivor Series, in the next pay-per-view.
Again, a great series of matches by all of them.
Yes, which the Warrior was supposed to take part in and didn't. Because he'd gone.
But I also think like it's a missed opportunity because Macho Man and Flair would have been two that Macho Man was one of the only people I think that could make Warrior look really strong and like a good performer.
Yes,
all round.
Yeah, I think Warrior and Flair would be interesting.
Macho carried Warrior in all the matches.
Yes, I think Warrior did a bit more here.
Macho made, but Warrior's improvement I think can be directly attributed to his work with Savage.
Probably, and that's a very good point. Actually, very good point.
Yeah, when you bring out the best, it's like when you bring out the best in
Virgil DiBiase.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right.
Harvey Whippleman introduces the Lord of the Jungle, Kamala. This is the first time we've seen Kamala with Kim G.
Who is the Brooklyn Brawler?
He is the Brooklyn Brawler, yes. And he also looks like Rorschach.
Yeah.
We've done the Brooklyn Brawler before, haven't we?
We've done that.
Steve Lombardi. Yeah, that's it.
Who only lost his job, was it last year?
Yes, very recently, yeah. I think his Wikipedia page is quite funny because it's like, instead of it being like a detail, it just goes through his years of WWF and it's every separate year of what he's sort of done. He's sort of been massive for the company, really, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, on TV, less so.
Yes, but in terms
I think he had a really brief run where he won a few matches. I can't remember what the angle was, but the Brooklyn Brawler was a fixture maybe around the Attitude Era or post-Attitude Era for a few. It wasn't like massive, it was like a few weeks, but he actually had a few consecutive matches because he was in a bit of a feud with somebody. I think it's the only time it ever happened to him.
He's constantly appearing in the dark matches at these events.
He was doink and he was doink. He was
doink in WrestleMania 9, wasn't he? I think,
loads of stuff, like a great all-around worker. But it just goes to show, like I say, you're never safe. With these, you think a guy like that with the legacy he's got.
Yeah.
Even though it's a legacy as a jobber.
Yeah, but I mean, is it retirement or is it like? I don't know why. We don't know why he was fired, do we? So
exactly.
I mean, he could have just had enough anyway. So that's fair enough. But he come out with this sort of Rorschach mask on, so they didn't want people to see his face, and he looked like the dude from The Watchmen, which was cool. So Kamala had wrestled with the WWF for a while, but we'll go into a little bit of background about Kamala.
The problem with Kamala, I thought, is that he looked really cool. I quite like the way he looked. But he looked like he could have been a proper force. But then he just he was really nervous whenever he saw the Undertaker. So it was
hilarious. I mean, his face was. He reminds me, do you know when Undertaker lost the streak and there's that dude in the front of the audience and his eyes are like that, right? He was able to do that same look with the wide eyes. And it's ironic, really, that the early part of Undertaker's career had Kamala and the end of Undertaker's streak had this dude in the crowd that did this exact same look, brilliant.
It was amazing.
He wasn't from Africa. Surprise! He was actually from Mississippi. When he was 4 years old, his dad was shot dead during a game of dice. And he'd been wrestling... It's where you like craps, maybe? Just dice? That's what it said on the...
Shot dead?
shot dead. Well, this was money involved, gambling. When Kamala was 4, his dad was shot dead.
But for playing, like just dice.
Yeah, but if you was to play poker with someone and lose money, and people get shot dead for stuff like that, yeah.
What?
Yeah, man, gambling. Welcome to the world of gambling, Don.
What? So if I bet you, it was my choice.
Yeah.
My choice to say, right, 10 grand here, and I lose.
Yes.
And I shoot you in the face.
Yes.
That happens.
It was happening a lot more in America during the 20s, 30s to the 70s when the mafia was in control.
So my choice to lose to you, if I lose, I give you 10 grand.
Is it your choice if it's your addiction?
Ooh, that's
deep, man. That's deep. Away from wrestling here.
Is it your choice if it's your addiction? There's a good question.
Next up, he had been wrestling since 1978. So Kamala had been on the scene for a long time at this point. And he was actually in the WWF from 1984, which is when we started doing these pay-per-views from 1985 onwards. And we haven't seen him yet. He was mainly used as sort of a jobber enhancement on TV a lot more than he would be at pay-per-views. However, this feud with The Undertaker had sort of built up enough to the point where it was pay-per-view level. Hulk Hogan got him into the WCW in 1995, and he entered a feud with Hulk Hogan there briefly. He was good friends with Hulk Hogan,
right.
as I think one of the lads, you know.
One of the
lads. He made several appearances on WWF later on, including 2004, where he was part of the Diva Search. Yeah. Do you remember that? He was part of the Diva Search.
I know he was part of the Gimmick Battle Royal around that time, but
yes.
but the Divas.
So the Diva Search thing had this whole segment where they had to. I read it as they had to woo him or something like that.
They had to woo Kamala.
Yeah. Wrestling.
I'm going to find that. There's got to be a YouTube clip of that.
Yeah, man. We'll find it and watch it later.
Let's see if I can find it just to have it later on.
Yeah, man.
Just to see if it's there.
He also fought Randy Orton when Randy Orton was doing his whole Legend Killer gimmick as well. So, on to the match. Apparently, Kamala is going to make a stew with The Undertaker. Cannibalism versus Dead Man.
Yep. Oh, wow. Yep, 2004. Yep.
We'll watch it after we've done the podcast.
I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, no.
It'll be good. No, so cannibalism versus Dead Man, weird. Undertaker enters on top of a hearse. This is like a really iconic Undertaker entrance that we'd get to see later on. There's so many iconic Undertaker entrances, and this was a really good one. Heenan points out that the wheel is on the wrong side. He's referencing the steering wheel because we drive on a different side of the road to Americans. When you're in America, when this podcast is released, are you going to be driving?
No.
Thank God, we will see Dom back when he comes back then. Because if he drove, he wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. I drive on the wrong side of the road in this country. So, it's going to be even worse over there.
Great. Undertaker has the early lead on Kamala, obviously. The funny thing about Kamala, the thing that I loved about it, was when he'd get punched by the Undertaker, he'd sort of flail his arms around as he was getting punched, which I thought was really funny, and sold the Undertaker. It was a great opponent for the Undertaker at the time.
Yeah.
Undertaker goes to choke both of Kamala's managers, so Whippleman and Kim Chi, whilst leaving him vulnerable to an attack from behind, where he's rammed into the steel steps. That moment is identically replicated in the next pay-per-view. In the next pay-per-view that you'll watch very soon, I will say exactly the same thing because it's exactly the same thing that happens there. We get to see our very first Undertaker chokeslam, and it's to a big guy, Kamala. Yep. Kamala does a lot of work in making it look great.
Yeah.
And wow, here we go.
Is Kamala underrated in your opinion in his performances? Because we don't see a lot of him, but what we do see, he sells everything.
This is sort of the height.
Pretty much
of what
he does. He sells everything.
He sells everything. Yeah, he made people look good, and the Undertaker needed someone.
And for a guy that big as well, it's actually not that bad. It's pretty good.
I mean, the sad thing about the Undertaker, I suppose, is that he'd gone from Hulk Hogan to this. So he'd gone from winning the WWF championship to this. I don't know if that was because they wanted to scale him back because of the whole politicking backstage and all this, and worried about him hurting his main performers maybe, which is damn sad.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this feud. It brought out the casket match at a later pay-per-view.
Of course. Yeah, looking forward to that.
The looks are just so iconic from Kamala.
Yeah.
In fear of The Undertaker, which was great. More so than Jake the Snake and Snooker. I think that this feud is possibly one of the most important feuds in establishing The Undertaker.
As a character of fear.
Yes. Yeah. Jake did a good job with promos and stuff. But this, in the ring... I thought it was great. In fact, I'd love to see Kamala in a WrestleMania match against Undertaker.
Yeah,
but it was not going to happen. Unless that's his retirement match. I'd rather see that than Roman Reigns.
Unless he goes through all of his, the ones that are still around.
Everyone comes out one at a time.
one at a time.
Yeah,
and then he gets Lesnar, and then he beats Lesnar.
Did he ever fight Benoit?
No,
not at WrestleMania.
No. I thought, you see, that's not a bad idea. Or the last Mania match be like Lesnar or something, and he beats Lesnar.
Please. We see Undertaker doing the diving forearm. Great move, looking from the Undertaker here. I love that diving forearm. Before he goes to lift Kamala for a tombstone, Kamala's manager interferes and the bell is rung before he can get the tombstone on Kamala. Kamala continues to attack with a really weak knee. He keeps attacking the Undertaker with a splash off the top rope. It would look impressive, these sort of splashes off the top rope, because he was such a big guy, but you can see his knees hitting the floor before he connects. We then see Undertaker sit up, and it's this moment that Kamala's face is just so brilliant.
I want to see if I can find like a still of it.
It is great, and he stalks him up the ramp, so Undertaker slowly walks up, stalking him. Great work, man. Great work.
Face Undertaker. Let's see if I can find it. I'll post it on the Facebook page.
So next up we have an interview with the British Bulldog. He's been facing a lot of family pressures at the minute, as he was married to Bret Hart's sister. At the end of the match, he wants his family to reunite, and in the ring, as far as he's concerned, he's never met Bret before. He doesn't know him, and he says he doesn't feel pressure from performing in his homeland. Mm-hmm. It's an honour, but he did really feel a lot of pressure, didn't he?
Yes,
do you know about the...
There was a lot of there was obviously a lot, because obviously he married
Bret Hart's sister.
Yeah. He had a staph infection at the time.
Yep.
So he was in a lot of pain during the match. There was a lot of issues, and I know he was quite nervous about it.
He was very nervous. He completely forgot everything in the ring. Everything in the ring. Interview with Bret. He's already proven that he works well under pressure. Bret's insulted by the Bulldog that he said that he don't acknowledge Bret, because he's the one that introduced him to his wife, and he's the one that's causing the family's pressure. So good build-up in terms of family feud. Mm-hmm. Then we get the bagpipes play. Heenan says he's never liked hard rock. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, I know.
To bagpipers. And then he says, is that grown men playing vacuum cleaners?
Oh, God. Yeah.
That was great. And then Piper comes to play out with the bagpipers. Piper did a great job here, and I'm pretty sure he was playing with them as well.
Yeah, I think he was having a go. I think he knew, because he knew how to do it. He did it a couple of times solo on his own over the years.
I'm sure he knew how to do it.
Some bagpipes, so I'm pretty sure it was
really
a skill
cool.
he had.
Yeah, so that was really cool to see, because he only appeared sporadically with WWF at this point. And he was back for this, and that was a great moment. An interview with Diana Hart-Smith, British Bulldog's wife, who sells that the feud has torn the family apart and that she's concerned about the health of her brother and her husband, and she doesn't care who wins. We see Diana in a lot of shots during this match. Yeah. So we have the Intercontinental Championship between British Bulldog and Bret Hart. So I'll run through the match.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to, because when it was in the US, it was supposed to be Michaels.
It was supposed to be Michaels.
But because of Wigan and Bulldog being from Wigan, they switched it to Bulldog because of to sell lots of tickets.
Absolutely, and what a good move
Vince
on their part.
Vince is, whatever you think about him, he is of sound business mind.
He is, yes, and it wasn't long after this, because Bulldog wins this. Spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. Spoilers for 90s. Don't work, man.
No.
The Bulldog ended up losing the belt to Shawn Michaels not long after this, and then the next match we see is Bret and Michaels.
Years later, Michaels gets a measure of revenge of sorts on Bulldog in a UK pay-per-view in the late 90s.
Does he?
Where he wins the European title.
Oh, right,
the Bulldog in the UK.
Oh, does he?
And he cheats to win with DX. So it might have been the early 2000s, late 90s. With DX, when Michaels is with DX, he beats. I think it's.
Oh, because I can't
remember what the pay was called.
Was it like 98 time? And is it One Night Stand or something like that?
Right, bro. Let me just find out. I should really do this more often when we're confused about this is what this laptop is here for.
Absolutely.
To fact check, and I never do this. So it's One Night Only, 1997. Yeah,
not One Night Stand.
No, not One Night Stand. That's an ECW thing.
Ah, yes, it is.
Yeah,
thank you.
I honestly, I'm literally. This is what this thing is here for, so that we can fact check ourselves, and we ask you guys. We ask you guys to fact check us because I always forget to do it. So, so there you go. One Night Only.
Very good. Thank you. So British Bulldog comes out with a flag of Great Britain being carried by Lennox Lewis.
That's my waving a flag there.
You did look just like Lennox Lewis waving a flag then. It was uncanny.
For boxing.
Yeah, he was a big time boxer, Lennox Lewis, in the 90s. Had good success, didn't he? I think he had success in the Olympics as well. Of course, an exceptional reaction for Bulldog. The crowd here are roaring for the Bulldog. Gareth, our friend who was there, said that when Bulldog was out and when Bulldog won the match, the crowd was unlike anything he'd heard. You know, it was electric, and it sounds electric. Yeah, you could see the nerves on Bulldog's face though as he's coming down. He didn't look as confident as he normally looked. Yeah. You could see that he felt the pressure of performing in front of all these people in his homeland. And although it was exactly the same as he was doing every other night, and we've seen Bulldog do sensational things and carry other people. Look at his stuff that he did with the Warlord. You could see that he was cacking himself at this point. When Bret comes out, you can hear all the boos from the British fans, even though commentary tried to sell it as an ovation. I don't think they expected Bret to get such a heel reaction.
Look
at this
the
point.
Ovation, which Gorilla Monsoon always says.
Nice shoulder barge from Bulldog early on sends Bret flying outside the ring. Bret starts to take control in the ring with a series of headlocks and pin attempts. So this is important because Bulldog, Bret Hart and Bulldog Bret Hart had been pushing Bulldog to sort of block out the match for ages, and Bulldog was like, oh no, it's okay, we'll do it later. And eventually Bret Hart sort of persuaded Bulldog to do it, but when they got in the ring, Bulldog completely forgot it all. And Bret very much leads this match. Bret didn't it's one of the best performances from Bret, where he takes this really bad situation where someone's forgotten moves, and you can see it in some of Bulldog's moves. You can see it in some of the spots, which I'll go into later on, where Bulldog has forgotten what he's doing.
Stuff, I think as a fan, like because I kind of gloss over that because obviously I'm watching that, I'm caught up in the moment. But yeah, if you think about it and you really look, there are moments of I mistook it as just a little bit of confusion, so I didn't know.
No, it was because like, Bulldog was chitting himself. Yeah.
What did you say?
Chitting. Okay. We're not allowed to swear.
Okay, cool.
Bulldog goes to the left of Bret for an arm drag, and Bret jumps as it. Oh right, no, sorry, it's not to the left; it's for the left. So Bulldog
to the left.
To the right. Bulldog lifts Bret Hart off the floor and sort of lifts him up by his arm. And Bret jumps up as if some move's sort of going to happen, but Bulldog doesn't do out with it. And then Bret, and this is what I mean. If you actually watch a match, you can see these moments where Bulldog's just sort of been overwhelmed, basically, and understandably so. But it was such a massive reaction. The crowd was so booing Bret at this event. It was very different to what we've seen from Bret, and I don't know if he liked it per se, because Bret was always very proud of his fan reaction and stuff like that. As you can see in the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, and the whole thing of the Montreal Screwjob was about his pride, really, not letting him drop it at a Canadian pay-per-view and stuff like that, because he didn't want to do that to the fans.
Yeah, of course.
Bulldog goes for the crucifix pin, but Bret slams him down instead. Really nice. A lot of arm holds and head holds between spots. Bulldog looked like he was running straight into moves. There was one boot from Bret, and it didn't look like a boot, like a big boot normally looks. It looks like he did actually just run into the boot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which again, it looked unprotected in many senses, which is what made the match look rough. But in moments like that, it becomes a good sort of rough.
I still think it's one of the greatest Intercontinental Championships.
It's a really good match. It is a really good match.
And mainly because of Bret's work and also Bulldog, even though he's obviously visibly nervous.
Yeah. We see a nasty head takedown as Bret dives over the top rope onto Bulldog. It looked like Bulldog again didn't know exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable to watch in terms of it looks like someone really fighting.
Yeah. That's
partly because Bret sort of jumps over the top rope, grabs Bulldog head and tells him that he's coming down with him, and Bulldog just sort of follows. To Bulldog's credit, he did follow Bret, and he did take that, which is good. We keep getting shots of Bulldog's wife, who's upset about her husband losing. Bulldog hulks up and escapes a sleeper. What do you call a Bulldog hulk up?
A
bulldog hulk up.
A dog bark.
A dog bark. Woof. Woof. Bulldog goes to lift Bret up, but loses balance and drops Bret into the ropes.
I was like, what the fuck are we doing? It's a Harry Potter podcast.
It's not.
Voldemort hulks up.
He does now. Bulldog hulks up. He looks like a really nasty bump actually. So Bulldog goes to lift Bret up and he loses his balance and drops Bret into the rope. Bret sort of falls between the bottom and middle rope, gets sort of hung up really awkwardly, twisted on him and folded up. It looked like it hurt. Bulldog eventually lifts Bret in a vertical suplex, which he holds for around 7 seconds, which was good work and a sign of Bulldog's strength. A German suplex into a pin nearly gets a 3 count on Bulldog. That was great. Bulldog suplexes Bret off the top rope. Epic.
Nice.
Iconic.
Very nice, yeah.
And Bret still kicks out. And then Bret Hart locks in the sharpshooter. Bret gets Bulldog into a pin position, but Bulldog reverses it, leading to Bulldog winning the match and an amazing pop from the crowd.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal. The crowd were overwhelmed by it.
That whole pinning segment and everything, like all of it. There's some absolutely amazing moments of this match.
Bret Hart actually made up the whole sharpshooter because they were both laying down, and he'd had a dream about it a few nights before, and he'd woke up and told his wife, and he was like, "This is the spot. This is what I'm going to do." So what he did is, because they was both on the floor, he sort of like crosses the legs up and then stands up into it, which is something that we'd never seen Bret do before, but it was really interesting. So after the match, Bret sits down, upset, whilst Bulldog is looking at him with his belt. Bulldog extends his hands to Bret, and Bret starts to walk away with the crowd booing. Really nice back and forth.
Nice build there.
And then the two embrace in the ring, obviously, and follow it up with a massive snog. Diana...
That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen?
It doesn't happen.
Okay. Does this happen?
With Diana?
Diana comes in, and we get a three-way celebration with Diana... between her brother and husband.
Yes.
A three-way celebration.
A three-way celebration. What the...
Very good. They all embrace in the middle of the ring as fireworks go off. Boo, 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 boo. Diana was hot.
Mate.
Had this match not happened in the UK, the match probably would have been Michaels and Bret. This setting for this match was perfect.
It was incredible.
Absolutely perfect.
Incredible, yeah.
I've spoke already about Hart and Bulldog calling the match in the ring. You see a lot of Hart saying stuff, and it's only when you're watching it. I don't think it's a bad match.
No.
It could have been a car crash, especially with a wrestler who forgets everything in the ring. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was incredible.
And that's due to Bret Hart's talent.
And
it'll
probably be, and also, like I say, Bulldog for following as well. But
yes, absolutely.
I think Bret has mentioned numerous times how it's one of his highlights of his career, just because
it's a good match,
because of the family connection, and also because of how hard they both worked. Obviously, particularly Bret.
But if Bulldog had actually been able to, if there hadn't been these sloppy moments, had the match actually gone the way that they planned it, how amazing could that have been? It's sad when you think about it. This could have been on a level of sort of Michael's Undertaker sort of thing. Right. Had it sort of gone to plan. I think it was incredible. I was so impressed with Bret Hart at this point. So impressed. I'm not a massive Bret Hart fan. This really, really impressive. Alfred Hayes at the end of the pay-per-view says, "Cheerio, everybody." Oh. We should say cheerio at the end of today's podcast.
Cheerio.
So another match that was supposed to happen during this pay-per-view was Texas Tornado. I don't know where to put this. So it was supposed to be Texas Tornado, who was due to fight Papa Shango. Unfortunately,
and also
Kerry Von Erich was released from the company.
The Tanker and Berserker was one.
Did that actually happen, or was that?
That actually happened.
Oh right, this one didn't happen. Yeah. Texas Tornado or Kerry Von Erich was released from the company, and later committed suicide within sort of a year.
Yeah, there was a lot of dark times for that.
For the family, for the Von Erich family.
A lot of dark times. You can see as well in some of the when you watch some of his matches at this time, you could see that he's visibly not. It's just, his heart's not there.
No, I agree. I think it was a good pay-per-view, some great matches and storyline. Nice to get a different crowd. That's not me being like, God save our... I'm not a very nationalist person,
I'm very proud to be from this country.
Do you believe in the royal family?
Mate, we're already going to be pissing off Vince.
So proud.
And Donald Trump.
So proud.
And, I'm just trying to be cagey about it, just in case the Queen watches. I'm
just going to watch my wrestling podcast with Anton Dom.
We're going to go and watch the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast, darling. Do I believe in the royal family?
No, you don't have to answer that.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that.
Good.
A diplomatic no comment, Anthony.
Very good, Dominic. Very good. You could feel the excitement in the last match, especially with it being based in the UK. Before we go into our rundown of scores for and best performer of the event and stuff like that, we'll just say, please, if you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and what else do we need to do?
Like, comment, check out patreon.com, just give me a whole yeah, twitter.com, just give me a whole yeah. Facebook.com, just give me a whole yeah. Please give us your feedback. Tell us if you hate us. Tell us which person you like best. Tell us your favourite colour. Tell us anything you want to tell us, because we want your attention. We're desperate for your attention. We crave your attention like Dolph Ziggler craved the spotlight in modern day WWE. And we believe that we work hard, but we don't get the attention we deserve like Dolph Ziggler. And so, please give us more attention, and we'll see you soon.
And we're going to also give our rundown. How many stars do you give this match?
2.5.
The whole show. 2.5 for the whole show.
2.5.
I say 3.5. I think it's excellent. I think the last match is excellent. The Shawn Michaels stuff is excellent. Really good.
All right,
best performer.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, easily. I think he made the last match the success it was. And the best match?
For comedy value, Martel and Michaels. For best all-round performance, Bulldog and Bret.
And I agree. So we agree on everything apart from you've rated it 1 star lower.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Dom. It's been a pleasure.
It is.
I've enjoyed this.
Cheerio, Anthony.
Cheerio. Give me a whole yeah, cheerio.
Keep it gay, my dear.
Cheerio.